Go ahead and go. I can. A little loud. Okay. Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the City Commission meeting to order. It is the Commission meeting of July 23rd, 2015. It is 6:32 p.m. Please stand for the invocation that will be given by Pastor Patrick Jimenez of Victory Springs Baptist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, you are great and greatly to be praised, and I thank you, Father, Lord, to be in the midst of these fine folks, Lord, Lord, I believe that you've ordained to help run the city. And Father, Lord, they're just but mere men and women. Father, they touch of God. And Father, Lord, I pray that you give ultimate wisdom to their minds tonight as they lead, Father, to help make this community a better place. And Father, I pray that you protect, Lord, their families. Lord, I pray that you protect their spouses and, Lord, their kids. And Father, I pray, oh God, that you put a special blessing upon the families of all these that serve this community. Father, may you protect and put your guiding hand upon, Lord, our Chief of Police and, Lord, the Fire Chief, and all those, Lord, that go out and protect us from, Lord, the things, Lord, that come into our lives that want to harm us. And, Lord, I pray that you protect these men and women, Lord, that lay down their lives for us every single day. Lord, they stand in an honored spot. And, Father, I thank you, Lord, for this place, Lord, where you called my family to live. Lord, it's a great place. And, Lord, I just pray that, Lord, as they make decisions for the future, but, Lord, it would continue to get better and better. And, Lord, I pray, Father, that, Lord, we'd always lift you up in this town. Father, I pray, Lord, that we'd always acknowledge you. And, Father, I just ask for your blessings, Lord, upon this meeting, and upon this city, and upon this great state of Florida. Thank you, Father, Lord. And again, you are great and greatly to be praised, and we honor you tonight with everything we've got. Thank you, Father, for this time. Bless it, Lord, as you see fit. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor. Ms. Parham, roll call, please.
Commissioner Evans?
Here.
Commissioner James?
Here.
Commissioner Williams?
Here.
Vice Mayor Jameson?
Here.
Mayor Weller?
Here. Thank you. All right, I need approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, you have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Evans, a second by Commissioner James to approve the agenda as printed. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed by saying no. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of July 9th, 2015.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 9th, 2015 commission meeting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Evans and a second by Commissioner Jameson to approve the minutes of July 9th, 2015. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed indicate by saying no. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, we now have a proclamation, which I'm going to read. This is a proclamation, the City of High Springs, State of Florida, whereas the National Association of Town Watch is sponsoring a unique nationwide crime, drug, and violence prevention program on August 4th, 2015, entitled National Night Out. And whereas the 32nd Annual National Night Out provides a unique opportunity for High Springs to join forces with thousands of other communities across the country in promoting cooperative police community crime prevention efforts. And whereas it is essential that all citizens of High Springs be aware of the importance of crime prevention programs and the impact that their participation can have on reducing crime, drugs, and violence in High Springs. And whereas police community partnerships, neighborhood safety, awareness, and cooperation are important themes of the National Night Out program. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Sue Weller, do hereby call upon all citizens of High Springs to join the High Springs Police Department and the National Association of Town Watch in supporting the 32nd Annual National Night Out on August 4th, 2015. Further, let it be resolved that I, Mayor Sue Weller, do hereby claim Tuesday, August 4th, 2015 as National Night Out in High Springs, Florida. I have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of High Springs to be affixed this 23rd day of July, 2015. Chief, would you like to say anything about National Night Out?
Yes. Good evening.
Turn on the mic, please.
Good evening. So, National Night Out, this is something that's been going on for 32 years, and there's approximately 38 billion residents get together on this night across the nation. It's over 16,000 communities. So I know Painesville does one, and I said, well, why can't High Springs do it? So this is the hopefully first annual. We partnership with the CRA, and we're going to hopefully have a great 3-hour event from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's going to be where the children's section was during Pioneer Days. We're going to have things such as a jumbo slide and the bounce house. I believe we have a balloon clown coming out, maybe some face painting, and a lot of organizations. Camp Kawaka is going to come out and provide hamburgers and hot dogs, and this is no cost. This is all private donations, no cost to the citizens, and we just hope everybody comes out, and the citizens' partnership with the police and the CRA, and just take really a stance against crime, and show united. So we invite everybody, and hopefully everybody has a great event. We'll be giving away some door prizes, and we are even going to have a real live police shooting simulator set up in the old schoolhouse. So anybody that wishes can come out and maybe walk a few seconds in the shoes that we walk in, and have to decide split second whether that's a real gun or a toy gun in that person's hand. Shoot or don't shoot. So if you want to come out, shoot a couple of scenarios, please come out and let me know what you think afterwards. And so thank you very much.
I want to know, is it going to be like Men in Black with the monsters popping up?
We can't divulge, but believe me, we are going to pick the best scenarios.
Okay.
And then we'll Monday morning quarterback the scenario.
Okay, thank you. And I think you're next on the agenda as well to present a certificate of appreciation.
I am. So we're trying to do what we can over to our building. And so, again, we reached out to the Kiwanis Club of Santa Fe. Jerry, if you come up. And, Jerry and his group of Kiwanians were so kind to offer their services to paint the interior of the police department. I don't think they realized the scope of painting the inside. And it was, I believe, 62 hours, manpower hours, over 3 days, over 3 different days. And so I would personally like to thank Jerry and Vilma Kernan, with just Jerry here, president of the Kiwanis, Danny Finn, Kathy Sayers, Tom Hewitt, Mr. Booth came out, and also yourself, Mayor, and Tom Weller came out. And so here's a certificate of appreciation. It says certificate of appreciation awarded to the Kiwanis Club of Santa Fe in appreciation for your support of the High Springs Police Department. 62 hours painting HSPD headquarters. I signed it the 23rd day of July 2015, High Springs, Florida. So, Jerry, I'd like to thank you and your
And I would like, if the rest of the Kiwanians would come up front too, and so you can have your picture taken. Okay.
No, I can get in.
I was right.
Okay, somebody have a 360-degree camera.
What are you trying to say?
Yeah. I'm autographing my grip.
I can't see everybody, so.
Okay.
That's probably good.
Well, if you can't get Ed, that would be a benefit.
But that's usually my line.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir. Good job.
Thank you, Mayor.
And we got a lot of paint on us, too. We were doing that. I think the chief got more paint on him than anybody. Okay, let's see, continuing on. Next on the agenda is a presentation by Kirk Eppenstein, Director of Sales and Marketing of TAP Communications. Kirk?
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, actually it's TAP Broadband,
Broadband, okay.
but I've never been one to complain as long as you don't call me late for dinner. As you may or may, I've spoken to you a few months ago because we were making a lot of changes and doing some exciting things, and wanted to let you know that our home base, our home office, is here in High Springs. TAP Broadband has over 800 miles of infrastructure. It is made up of a collection of cable television companies that are no longer doing cable television. We are now specializing in providing broadband internet to rural communities. We are currently serving Alachua, parts of Alachua, High Springs, Branford, Chiefland, Cross City, Steinhatchee, Lake Park, Georgia, and Valdosta, Georgia. So we kind of specialize in serving the areas that the other companies don't really want or can afford to go into. We're currently in Alachua, High Springs, offering speeds up to 50 megs, which is quite fast. It's as fast as any of our competitors are. We have built, we've invested quite a lot in our infrastructure here and continue to do so. We have plans to continue to boost the speeds up to 100 megs. And we have made some great strides in improving our customer service and the product that we deliver to the customer as well. One of the issues in broadband internet is the cost of providing new infrastructure. We are in High Springs working on what was largely the old Communicom cable TV system. That is in the bulk of the traditional core of the community. Unfortunately, it is not in some of the newer subdivisions, the Tillman Acres, the River Glen, Edgemore. We are not currently serving those areas, and we would like to. The reason why I am coming before you this evening, you're kind of our first approach. We are looking to partner with some of the communities that we serve in order to be able to expand the internet that we're providing in those communities. I know as, of course, a former commissioner that revenue streams for municipalities in Florida are few and far between. One of the ways that you used to derive revenue was through some of the franchise fees that were associated with cable television. That no longer exists because we no longer provide video services. The product that we provide now is currently non-taxable, so there is no revenue stream to the community, although we provide what I think is a vital service to the business and residential community. And the service that we provide is extremely fast compared to the competitors that are here, and will allow technology and business to be able to thrive with the product that we have. What I am looking for this evening is to be able to explore opportunities for a possible, what I've found to be called in Florida a P3 agreement. It's a public-private partnership. And I've contacted the Florida League of Cities, and I've talked to and looked at some model agreements that exist. I have not found one that exists that pertains to this particular thing. But I think that we could create a partnership that could be a win-win for the community, in that we could continue to provide service to the community, do a revenue sharing program with the community, with the municipality, and explore the possibility, of expanding our footprint through some of the initiatives that I believe are coming down the pike that would be associated with providing broadband internet in rural communities. We have the footprint, we're already in business, so I think that we would be a very good shovel-ready project. But the first step would be for you to allow the staff to explore with us the possibility of entering into an agreement with the community, coming up with some kind of an agreement, and then presenting it to the commission for your approval. So what I'm seeking tonight simply is permission for the staff to proceed to explore this possibility.
Commissioners? Questions, comments? Mr. Jameson?
Well, I'm curious, can we do this? This is a presentation. Can we give direction, or does that have to come back as an agenda item to basically discuss? Could we give direction to the staff to basically explore and then bring that back to us? I'm not sure of the process. I just want to make sure of the process.
I think you're entitled to direct staff. At this stage, you're not making a vote. And of course, the first question I'd have is, what is our obligation? What are you looking for from the city?
Right.
Are you looking for a financial commitment? What is the part that you're looking for from the city? I know there was a broadband
It was a coalition or a co-op in North Florida.
North of here in Lake City and all of that.
My understanding, my understanding from the league is that there were a lot of cooks and a lot of chefs, and it didn't get off the ground.
They apparently had significant investment via this group in equipment, and there was a lot of, I don't know that the system ever became operational, but they actually did put a lot of infrastructure into place, is what I understand the situation to have been. And they set up a separate entity, which was represented by various groups in that region. Lake City, the city of Lake City might have been in it, maybe Columbia County. It was coalition.
Mostly north central Florida rural areas. My understanding in talking to the head of it, and I'm sorry his name escapes me right now, is associated with the Florida Institute of Government in Tallahassee. And his estimation was that they didn't have an internet provider partner in that equation. And then, of course, when you have so many partners and so many chiefs, it was characterized to me that they weren't able to come into any kind of consensus.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not looking for a financial commitment so much right now as just the ability to, my access to the Florida League of Cities staff is limited as a private citizen. With your help, we could access the advisors at the Florida League of Cities, and what I'm looking for really is to come up with some kind of a boilerplate agreement so that we can come up with something that would be in keeping with the P3 agreement or the statutes associated with that, and be able to present a revenue sharing proposition to the commission to see if we could move forward, and then in the future explore any possibilities for how we might be able to expand our footprint, because we have so many people from this community that call us every week and wish that we were in their neighborhood, businesses and residents alike, and we just can't do it. The cost for putting in fiber these days is about $30,000 per mile our cost. So if you do the math simply, it's very, very difficult to recover your costs. Some of us, myself, remember Rural Electric Initiative. And we believe that there is something similar to that coming down the pike, so to speak, with broadband internet. There's been a lot of talk about how do we provide that service to people that don't have it currently. And so we would like to be on the forefront of that. I'm not sure that you'll agree to enter into a partnership with us, but I just would like the possibility to explore that, to be able to present that to you, and I need access to some of the services so that we can craft whatever it is that needs to be done.
I wouldn't have a problem with you meeting with the manager and us, and the manager coming back and explaining to us a little bit more in detail what it is that this type of thing would get the city into. you know, without, I'm not looking for him to come back with a proposed agreement, but to educate us on what it would mean to the city, you know, that type of thing, if that's all right with the commission. Because this is, you know, foreign to me anyway, and you know, this type of thing, and what it all involves, and what it would mean to the city, and financially and any other way, you know, and what kind of commitments the city would have to make, and that type of thing. So I think the
Right.
manager.
The League of Cities is going to be my major source of information.
So I think it's okay. I think I'm going to see the commission shaking their heads that, you know, the manager can set up a meeting with you. And
Sure.
he'll come back and report to us. Okay? All right. Thank you.
Proceed forward.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Next on the agenda is unfinished business, which is to consider ordinance 2015-10. Mr. Attorney?
Madam Mayor, this is an ordinance of the City of High Springs providing consent for the entire corporate limits of the City of High Springs, Florida to be included in a non-ad valorem assessment for a municipal service benefit unit created by Alachua County for the provision of solid waste management costs, providing conditions for the consent, providing that the consent is automatically renewed until terminated, and providing an immediate effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2015-10 upon its reading by title only.
All right, this is the second reading. The first reading was on July 9th, commission meeting, and I am now open for public hearing on this item. If you'd like to comment, please come forward. But for any actual audience members come forward, I'm going to ask for Milton Towns, who is the waste collection manager for Alachua County Public Works, to say a few words since he's representing the county on this issue. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. Appreciate you hearing this item. We do have a long history of working with High Springs and the other municipalities within the county and supporting these solid waste management programs. This will be our 18th year working together and using the means of the assessment as a way to fund the countywide programs that serve our residents for things that they don't get through the city's collection contract from the hauler. So these are other programs, proper household hazardous waste, disposal, opportunity to use the collection centers as the residents need to. We had our mobile tools for schools unit out this evening, and some folks got to see that. That's one of the resource recovery opportunities that we've had in partnership with the school board, where materials that are still usable for teachers in our classrooms can be diverted from landfill, instead diverted to our classrooms. Eliminate some of those out-of-pocket costs are absorbed in trying to take care of our children. So just want to say we do appreciate the partnership. I'm happy to be able to report that the rates this year for the residential assessment for the single-family home are going down by 13%. Works out to a total of about $16.50 for the year. That's $1.37 per month per household to count the programs that are available.
And it was 18 something before, right, last year?
Right, it was $18.95 last year, so it's gone down about $2.50, which from 18 is a pretty good percentage. Also, since fiscal year 2010, so in the last 6 years, the residential rate has been reduced by 36%, and the commercial assessment rate by 2%. So we've done what we think is a very good job of being good stewards of the funds entrusted to us, and we all had to tighten our belts, every municipality, every agency, through this economic downturn, and we were successful in doing that without cutting the programs and the benefit that these programs provide. Stop with that, and just if you have any questions or
Does the commission have any questions? Anyone from the public like to come up and say anything? All right, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. All right, we'll now consider passing this ordinance. Is there, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to pass ordinance 2015-10.
Second. All right, we have a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner James, to approve ordinance 2015-10 on second reading as read into the record. Any further discussion by the commission? Roll call, Ms. Parr?
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jameson.
Yes.
Mayor Weller.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Towns. All right, next on the agenda is for our citizen requests or comments. If you have any, please come forward and give your name. You do not need to give your address. And limit your comments to 5 minutes and direct your comments to the mayor.
5 minutes, Madam Mayor.
That's it.
Do that. Well, I think we've all been faced with some scary episodes, but at 3 o'clock in the morning,
Mr. Kearney?
oh, yeah, I forgot who it was. Mike Kearney here.
Thank you.
3 o'clock, I haven't got over the episode yet. 3 o'clock in the morning, our fire alarm goes off at the house. Of course, you bound out of bed. You know, you're not dressed. You don't know where the hell you are. You can't find your glasses. Fire alarm's going off. You get ADT on the phone. Judy gets up and saying, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? I said to the ADT, so the ADT person says, well, there's smoke in your garage, which in my garage is not a minor task. See, there's probably a total of 100 gallons of gas sitting in there in various vehicles, if not more. And so I proceed to say, well, let me run outside, of course, with no clothes on in the middle of the night. In the meantime, Judy gets out of bed and goes over and turns the alarm off. What happens when you turn the alarm off is you're no longer hooked up to ADT. Oh. It automatically disconnects the phones. So anyway, you know, I go over there, sniff around, no fire, bad smoke detector. Here comes the fire truck down the driveway. Of course, we know all the guys, so we have a little round there. But it's the first fire truck, and there's 2 firemen on it. Okay, and they arrived on the scene. In the meantime, we did cancel we got up back on the phone, we canceled the alarm. Okay, so we didn't have to call the second truck. You know, they proceeded to say, look, we can't do anything until the second truck arrives, unless there's a personal life involved, which is understandable. They can't go in a building. If they'd have gone in that garage and there had been a fire, God knows what would have happened. And I do think that, you know, if you haven't seen what can happen, go down on 9th and take a look at what happened with that garage, and look how our fire department was able to save the house on the right and the house on the left that couldn't have been more than 20 feet from that mess. So, you know, they can do the job. But I guess, you know, what sort of came up with me was we had to back off on the budget, which had nothing to do with this commissioner or our city manager. It was the past one. The budget was set for our fire department, which unfortunately they're over. Therefore, we lost I guess I'll call it the 4th section. So we couldn't, if we had had a major fire, we couldn't have moved that truck, which is most unfortunate. And then as a citizen, I'm saying, well, gee, you know, we're trying to get the ambulance into town. And now what does the county think of this if High Springs is now saying, well, we don't have the money in our budget on our fire truck and 2 more people. And so, well, what about it? How can you have an ambulance? So my point is, I would really hope that I understand why our city manager had to make the decision he had to make about the budget, a lot of money. They again had nothing to do with this commission, but I would hope that maybe our finance manager somehow could come up with some funding as we move closer to the deadline from some other areas to see if we can't get that 4th section back in place. Because if that garage had gone, we'd have needed every fire truck we could get our hands on. And as they point out, if, God forbid, you know, we got a truck on another area in Alachua or someplace, and we have a bad situation in High Springs, we're now short a truck. So that was my main points. I think the guys came out there, they did a great job. Oh, point of revenue. So less than 4 days later, I get a letter from the county about a fine because over the false alarm, you know, and of course then it says that there's no assessment because they're in High Springs. Well, guess what? I think that we should have our own assessment for false alarms because I don't know how much the fine is, but it's a point of revenue, and it could help the fire budget.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think our assessment needs to be higher. When you run out there at 3 o'clock in the morning, you don't care that your assessment is only $84 or whatever.
You're right, and we are working on it.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Bruce Borders, 21535 South 441 High Springs, Florida. We were supposed to have a meeting back, which was about the second or third meeting, having to do with zoning out here.
Having to do with what?
Zoning out here,
Okay.
where they were gonna put big, pads, put travel trailers and buses and boats and stuff like that, which was residential land. Well, when I called up here to tell you the meeting, and he couldn't help it there, but Mike was stranded in Washington DC or somewhere, Washington DC. Well, I was told tonight that we're gonna bring that back up tonight. When is it, Mike?
That's already been settled by the planning board. It comes up before the commission if and when he wants to bring it back up. I don't know, Mayor, if I'm allowed to.
Come on up.
The planning board has reviewed his request. This is where.
I don't want to hear we don't want to hear the
No, okay.
details of
No,
it, just as far as if it's going to come back, that's
well,
fine.
The meeting was held by the planning board, and there was a decision made, and that he couldn't go to.
The staff, Madam Mayor, the staff is going to interact with the applicant and make a determination of what we do, and the applicant, it'll be the applicant's decision to push forward or go back. And that's where we're at.
So it's in the applicant's
That's right.
ballpark at this point to decide what to do.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hey, and then my other thing is, about your dispatch, giving it to Alachua County, not working. Not working at all. And, the main thing there, you go over there, this man's got so many chiefs, got so many employees, and he's thinned out on stuff there. And when you go over there, and his staff's gotta eat like everybody else, lunch and stuff like that. And a lot of times you go over there, you pick up the phone, and they wanna know where you're at. Well, that phone should tell you where I'm at the High Springs Police Department. Well, I couldn't get nobody, the door was locked. So I come up here, see that man right there, he ain't even around, And I seen the man when I come in the door, I might be crazy, but I still got my sight, He's supposed to be downstairs in a meeting. I seen him there. Well, matter of fact, they bother this man over here. They hit their little button, little button. Bruce Borders is over here causing trouble. I didn't cuss nobody, didn't threaten nobody for nothing. So I was banned from going upstairs and everything there. But hey, this thing about how many people is gonna have to die if y'all wake up again about this dispatch, It's not working up. It takes his men, it takes Bruce's men, chief, fire chief, time and all to get there, and people can already be, the first time it brought up, and the reason they brought it back in, because they were losing lives and stuff like that, And, but that's my main thing there. It's not working out, and the chief of police coming there trying to do a good job, and he don't have the manpower there. But he's got one secretary over there that's having to do everything. When that door comes in, you have to go there, talk to her, and all that stuff. You can put just so much weight on a horse, you'll break his back, and he won't do nothing for you. So it's not working out there, about your dispatch. And then people like Ed Booth there, he wants to know, well, why is Bruce Borders up here talking? He lives across the river. Well, I can answer that too. Columbia County, if my house catches on fire, who responds? All the way to Bible Road, all the way on 778, all the way to Shiloh Baptist Church. They've got that. High Springs Fire Department. You know, if you know, the police department,
Okay,
they've got the same thing, same thing there.
all right,
So
Mr. Borders.
do I have a voice to speak up here?
You just did, Mr. Borders.
I know,
So,
but I'm
you're
not,
t-
I'm
I'm sorry.
asking if I'm allowed to speak since,
We allow people to come up and speak even if they don't live here.
well, I do, hey.
All right, Mr.
Columbia
Borders,
County, 'cause
your
they have
5 minutes are up, Mr. Borders.
Fire and rescue.
Mr.
Understand?
Porter, we allow 5 minutes for folks to come up that are residents or non-residents. And then we have another bunch of things that we need to get onto with our agenda. So you're allotted 5 minutes, and when that beeper went off, that was your 5 minutes. So we would respectfully ask that you sit down now. And then if you want to come back at the next meeting and talk for 5 minutes, you're welcome to do it.
Am I gonna get any input on the dispatch?
Well, this is not a time for question and answer. This is the time for you to come up and say your piece.
Right.
And that's what this is all about.
Please.
Thank you, sir.
But we appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Borders. Anybody else? All right, with that, we'll move on. Oh, I'm sorry. Come on up.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm still having problems about my water running in my yard. I would appreciate it if each of you would take time and just visit my area.
All right.
So you can see what problem I'm having.
Okay.
I have relatives in from Philadelphia, and they noticed that it is causing my house to sink so bad. They noticed that when they, excuse me for saying it, but when they sit on the stool, they noticed that it's leaning. I hadn't paid attention to that until they brought it to my attention.
Mm-hmm.
But my house is beginning to lean to the left very badly. So I would appreciate it if you all take a look at that and begin process real soon about doing something about it. Thank you very much.
All right. I'll get with you another day and we'll do that. Thank you. Anybody else? No one else? All right, now we'll close the citizen comments. And we'll move on to new business, which is to consider resolution 2015-I. Mr. Attorney?
Madam Mayor, this is a resolution of the City of High Springs, Florida, determining the amount of and fixing the proposed tentative rate of ad valorem taxation for fiscal year 2015 through 2016 and providing for conflict severability and an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass resolution 2015-I. And Madam Mayor, it's also appropriate at this time to announce the tentative millage rate for the fiscal year, which is fixed at 6.1326 mils, which is a 1.67% increase from the rollback rate, the current rollback rate of 6.0301 mils.
Now, I would just like to say, though, that rate that's being quoted to is not an increase over what you are currently paying. It's the same millage rate as it was last year. There's no change. So with that, we'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2015-I as read into the record.
I'll make a motion that resolution 2015-I be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor made by Commissioner James and seconded by Commissioner Evans to approve resolution 2015-I as read into the record. Is there public comment? No? All right. And I do, as I indicated, that there is no increase over what you are currently paying because that is the same rate, millage rate that was from last year. I know it has been reported on some Facebook pages that it has been an increase, but I just want to make sure it's really clear that that is not an increase over last year's rate. Roll call, Ms. Parham.
I just wanted to add that was the max rate.
Okay.
That right now that millage isn't set, it's just the max.
Good point. Good point.
Right. Right. It could go lower, but it can't go any higher.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jamison?
Yes.
Mayor Weller?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, item 2 is discuss and consider awarding bid for financial auditing services. Mr. Manager?
Yes, ma'am. We had 3 people respond. The lowest rate, however, could not provide us the CISA portion of that. So we're recommending James Moore at $29,000. The next bid was at $31,000.
Can we have an explanation, please, of what the CISA certification is?
That's kind of a newer requirement that a lot of organizations are going to, but it ties in the IT part of your software and your processes and your accounting, and not just the paper part, basically. So they look at all of it, and it is a certification. It was requested in the RFP, and so everybody was aware of it.
Right. We did so because we went to Springbrook, and we're in that process of transitioning, which
And so even though we had a lower bid than the $29,000, they did not, I guess, did not include that certification, which is.
No, they have nobody on staff that actually has that certification.
Okay. And the James Moore is the next lowest bid.
Right. Both of the other firms that responded both had the certification.
Okay. All right. Discussion, commissioners? Any questions?
And it also is a little bit less than what was in budget last year.
Mr. Attorney?
Okay. Commissioner James?
Obviously, if something is not fulfilled with all the requirements, that is justification for not accepting the bid?
Yes, it's the lowest and best bid, so even if all 3 met the qualifications and you felt that another applicant was your best bid, you're still entitled to go with who you believe is going to provide the best service. And in this instance, not all 3 had the same qualifications, and 2 did. So okay. Yes, in both instances, you're entitled to the lowest and best bid.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we award the bid to James Moore for the auditing services.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Jameson, second by Commissioner Williams, to award the bid to James Moore for auditing services. Is there any public comment? All right, seeing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed indicate by saying no. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, item 3 is to review the June 2015 financial reports.
Yeah, the report seemed to be in line except for the fire department, and that now is at 89%, and we're going to start bringing that more in line to it will probably still go over, but hopefully only a couple percent.
Okay.
Well, I was just wondering if there was anything, I would just want to know, is there anything that's sticking out? Is there something that would highlight that the finance?
Other than what the manager said,
Yeah.
fire, some of the, if you'll notice on the ad valorem, we're going to be about 50,000 short of what was projected for last year. A lot of that could be delinquent. As you can see, we received quite a bit of delinquent taxes this year. When budgeting for next year, we're going to be a little bit more conservative on we use the 95%, which is the norm, the 95% of what you should get. We're actually probably about 93, what was collected. But other than that, everything's pretty much online. Permitting is a little down, but I think that is being taken care of.
Right.
And the intergovernmental transfers have not taken place yet.
No, they have not. We're waiting on the Maximus study. We have gotten it back. I received it on Monday. I will share that. Haven't even had a chance to share it with the manager. So So, probably at the next budget hearing, or budget
Okay.
workshop
Okay.
on August 4th, I'll bring it, because we'll be talking about, that's when utilities are being talked about anyway.
Okay. Any questions, Commissioner? All right, this was a discussion-only item. Excuse me. Since it was in the packet, is there anybody who would like to come forward and have any questions about it? Okay, we'll move on to item 4, which is to consider acceptance of the Community Champions Corporation proposal for the registration of vacant abandoned properties and authorized preparation of a contract for services. Mr. Manager? would
You
like
bet.
to
We
explain
went out
that?
for bids. We only had, and this was the same organization that made a presentation about a year ago. And they are doing the same thing in Newberry. They have not received any real complaints. What they really do is they look at your inventory of houses that have been abandoned and look to bring in some resources to be able to clean those up. And there are a number of those that need to be taken down, and the property needs to be cleared.
Okay. Questions, Commissioners? Commissioner James?
Go ahead.
Sorry. Commissioner Evans?
I'm assuming legal staff reviewed all this and doesn't have any issues with it.
Correct.
Commissioner James?
Yeah, I was just gonna make the comment that on this one, it's the company that basically identifies your abandoned properties, and they make sure that it's registered and it goes on, so we're actually getting money in, and make sure that this is not a cost to us. This is property, we're not getting anything now, and what we get, we share some of the stuff, so it's basically getting, if I'm saying this wrong, make sure you.
No, you're saying it right.
You're right.
I don't want these people out there going, this guy's nutcase. But it's just, I think it's a win-win situation. It actually gets us registering and gets us knowledge of the exact properties out there that are abandoned and are an eyesore. Gives it to us, and then we can actually act on it, and whatever revenue comes in is split. So just want to make sure we understood that. Thank you.
Mr. Attorney, in looking at our ordinance that allows us to do this, it refers to that there could be appeals on interpretations, and it says that it shall be reviewed by the Board of Adjustment, and I believe that is probably would be our Code Enforcement Board?
I think the Board of Adjustment is constituted of this board, I believe, but I'll have to look at that and make sure. So
Okay.
I think you sit, now it might be a different composition than this entire board, but I'll look at that and make sure. I don't believe, in my tenure, we've had a Board of Adjustment meeting, but typically a Board of Adjustment is your commission.
Okay,
So
because it just
I'll
says
look
Board
at
of Adjustment, and so I
Yeah.
wasn't real sure who
Yeah.
that was. And it also says in it that the fees be determined by a resolution or administrative order. So would that come after a contract is worked out then with the
Right,
company as to what
right.
the fee would
They
be?
will propose a fee associated with the registration on their database. And then my understanding of that is that the city will receive 50%. It'll be a 50-50 split of that fee.
But then we'll follow up with a resolution setting what those fees are.
Correct.
All right. I don't have any more questions. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have
Commissioner
one.
James?
Yeah, when these properties are identified, we do have a mechanism to make sure that the owners are notified and given the opportunity to do whatever is required to correct this situation.
Yes, and typically what happens is that the property is in default,
Right.
and the owner is now subjected to a foreclosure process.
Right.
And what it really triggers in on is if the home becomes abandoned. And if that's the case, then the bank is the trustee essentially for that property. They may not own it yet, but they're the trustee because they're in the foreclosure process. And what we've been seeing is that the foreclosure process lasts for a significant period of time. The house may become abandoned, overgrown, pool is left open, that sort of thing. So now the bank becomes the responsible party to secure the property. And this organization starts putting the notices out to the bank on behalf of the city. So that's
all I'm asking right
that's the
there.
idea.
There is another portion, and that is when the houses are abandoned and there is no bank involved, there is no mortgage, and then we're going to do those kind of houses through the codes board.
Okay.
And bring those forward. We have a number of properties that we own. We would like to start selling those and taking that money and taking down the houses and then just keep rolling the money through. But I think we have like 51 homes identified, but some of those will fall into this category. But there will still be a number of homes that is heirs property that have just been abandoned. Nobody wants it. Nobody can even find the owners. We will go through that process.
All right.
Any other questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that, where am I?
We're basically looking to accept the proposal, and we're going to authorize the preparation of a contract to be brought back before the commission.
Okay.
Commissioner James has made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor made by Commissioner James, a second by Commissioner Williams. Any public comment? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed indicate by saying no. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, item 5 is to discuss and consider a $35,000 matching grant for the High Springs Springs. Mr. Manager?
Yes, ma'am, there is no matching.
I was wondering about that when I saw that.
Yeah, there is no matching.
Okay.
This is a straight $35,000 grant from the Water Management District. When we went up there and discussed Camp Kalakwa, also discussed with them the High Spring Springs. And the $35,000 from them, and I would put in for the grant. They seem to be enthusiastic about it, would be building a path to it, cleaning out some of the invasive underbrush, some steps down to it, some picnic tables, and it's going to be a kind of a nature park. And they're putting that on their list because it's not on the list
of springs. Commissioner Evans.
The property's still owned by somebody.
Us.
Oh, it's owned by us?
The 1 acre of the springs is ours.
So we're just talking about the 1 acre. We're not talking about the surrounding property.
I'll get an easement if it goes on to Mr. Ladano's property.
Okay.
For him to allow that to happen. We will then, once we get this going, look to purchase that through the Swanee River Water Management District, because it really is a conservation land.
You're talking about the full acreage?
The full acreage, except for the 2 acres that abut the school.
So part of this would be, we'd get the grant, but at the same time, we will have to work out some kind of legal agreement with Mr. Ladano for the easement
Right, you have talked to him.
And figure out where that path would be and that type of thing.
That is correct. And then we'll have it surveyed, but he doesn't have a problem with that.
Anything else? You need any direction from us other than go for it?
Go for it. Go for it. It's my pet project.
I'd rather direct him to say, get it. Go for it leaves a chance that he may not. So let's say.
Okay, get it. All right. Is there any public comment on this issue? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. I don't believe we need to do a motion on that, though, right? Okay. So, Mr. Attorney, any update?
The only update I have is this is, I think, the first time I can report to you during my tenure here that you don't have litigation going on. So there's a bright spot there, and we anticipate and hope that that will continue. Other little bit of good news is that it's a rarity whenever you get money back from your lawyer, but you got money back. You put $20,000 in our trust account for purposes of repaying the in our litigation north end had made a contention that they were entitled to a lot more money than that for reimbursement under the developer agreement. And we had estimated $20,000 needed for the purpose of actually repaying them. When we looked at it further, there were 2 homes that were connected during the time of the moratorium, and as our assessment and contention that those 2 homes should not be reimbursed because there was no money coming in under the agreement. So there was roughly $6,000 that was not dispersed to North End as a result of that. And of course, then after that, we settled the case and resolved it. So there was $5,900 and some change that was left in our trust account. So we've executed a check, and I think there it is. Courtney's got it, and that'll go back to your finance manager, and you get money back. So that's the hopefully the end of that story and end of litigation for the foreseeable future. We hope. We can't control that, but we certainly hope so.
Thank you.
Have some extra time on your hand there.
I'm sorry?
You're gonna have some extra time on your hand.
Oh, I'm glad to have it.
Mr. Manager?
You bet. We've been working on the budget on the 6th. We will have a budget meeting for the Public Works and for the Police Department. We are leaving the Fire Department for another day. I'm giving the maximum time for the county to determine what kind of funds they're going to give us to cover their areas.
Bless
you. And most of this week I've been in combat. I'm sorry, I've had a set of 6-month-old twins and 3 adult children, and it feels like combat.
So you're glad to be back here tonight?
I'm glad to be back at work. Yeah, I'm fighting out.
Anything else? Is that it?
That's it.
Commissioner James?
All I have is to say thank you to Mr. Booth for taking care of an issue that I've been complaining about for a little while. I appreciate that so very much. That's
Commissioner Evans?
Nothing at this time.
Commissioner Williams?
A couple things. First of all, I want to say thank you and commend the High Spring Police Department for being one of the safest cities. So we thank y'all for that. Amen. Some positive on this about us. You can't take that and turn it around to negative. So we say thank y'all for that and keep up the good work. Mr. Booth, Monday, I need to show you a pig trail, I call it.
You bet.
Yes. Well, Bruce said it's go all the way out 13th Street. They might join up to 441.
Yes.
So we need to really look into that and see what that street is all about.
All right, let's do that.
I'm not for sure if sewer back there or not. 'Cause I know it stopped at Shalanda's house and then goes around the corner.
Okay.
So I'm on the 13th Street, go all the way out. What we used to call Lover's Lane. Let's go.
All right. Why'd you call it that, Byron?
I can't tell.
Just call me anytime next week and we'll take a trip out there.
Yeah, I'm just curious about that.
You
'Cause
bet.
if so, we need to put it on that list for paving.
Oh, absolutely.
In the future, some kind of way. All right, that's all I have, man.
Commissioner Jameson?
Just one thing, I know the follow-up letter on the grinder pump to the tweeners is coming up or is due to go out in I think September. What I'd like to do is put something on the next agenda for that to actually come before the commission. I think it's important that the 2 commissioners have an opportunity to understand completely what the letter's about. And so I'd just like that to come forth and we'd have some say-so and to see whether or not we want to go forward or do we want to continue to try to get grant money for them as opposed to doing this. So I just think it should be a commission meeting instead of staff. So I'd just like to have something on there to fully explore that as we go forward. So if that could just go on, Jenny, discussion of the grinder letter, I'd appreciate it.
We'll have a letter for you to take a look at that time. And also the people that we sent out the first ones.
Yeah, and I just want, yes, and I'd like to see that, but I just want to make sure that the new commissioners, if that's what they want to do, if they want to continue, that's what the ordinance says, that's what, I just want to make sure that they have full disclosure on it before this letter goes out, they know what's going on. So if that can just go on, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, and the only thing I have, and it was mentioned earlier tonight, talked about earlier tonight, and that is on August 4th is National Night Out, and I would invite you all to come over to the police department, the field next to the police department, and partake in that. Let's bring all our citizens out and our children out and have a great time. Yes.
I also wanted to remind everybody that there will not be a commission meeting on August 13th, that we're only holding one commission meeting next month.
Right, only one commission meeting, and that's the 27th, right? All right, thank you. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
At 7:33.
Meeting adjourned at 7:32.